Hello everyone, welcome back to the Undercut. My name is Lewis. I'm joined by Jack.
Why are we introing it with names again? We haven't done this since like the first one.
I thought I'd spice it up. Either way, today we're going to be doing a comparative 2024 to 2014 season. We're going to take the drivers and the constructors from the 2014 season and we are going to compare them to the modern day drivers and constructors. And we're going to see where the teams are at, if they've improved, where the driver lineup's better. We're going to get into some discussions, probably disagreements and heated debates as well, because we don't know what we're going to answer here to, which is better.
That's because we are entirely unplanned for this video.
Yes, we must disclose the fact that we've sat here for about an hour before recording this, discussing what we're actually going to talk about, because we've got nothing else to talk about because the season hasn't started yet.
No, we're just waiting for cars to
Yeah.
come out now.
All the car reveals come out next week.
Yes.
So next week's podcast will be
Although
that.
Haas is on Friday.
Yes, but we're going to group that in with the rest of them.
Haas is on Friday.
By the time this goes out, Haas's car will already be out, but we will be discussing it
Next week. In a group of fives.
Yes, in groups of 5. So it's interesting. We've pretty much exhausted everything. Like, we've done the season review from last year. We've done the silly season talk. We've done second drivers. We've done F2 drivers. We've done season predictions. So now we're just waiting for the season to start, really. So we thought we'd take a look back in time, a short view back to the past.
Have a bit of fun with it.
Have a bit of fun with it.
That's what F1's about, a bit of fun.
Exactly.
Let your imagination go. Opinion.
I think that was that season as well.
What?
A short view back to the past. Was that 2024 Abu Dhabi? It was, wasn't it?
Who said that?
The interviewer, do you not remember? It's like a whole meme. He's like, a short view back to the past.
It's in the press conference, isn't it?
It's in the press conference, and he's like...
the guy that waffles on for about 10 minutes
he's
asking a question and all the drivers are just pissing themselves.
He's like, Nico Rosberg told us that he had to...
Something like the F1 steering.
The steering wheel's complicated. You have to turn it on like a computer. It's very complicated. And then Vettel sat at the front pissing himself and Button is sat in the corner like... like he couldn't contain himself. Man was going on for ages. Bro, he was...
There's got to be the longest question ever.
Bro, it is. I want to see him. If he's not, I want to see him again in a press conference. He was funny.
Was he funny?
Oh, Jesus. But yeah, either way. 2014. So we're going to go through the constructors and the drivers. And we're going to compare. Obviously, disclaimer. Caterham.
Yes, Caterham are not going to be part of this. Marussia are not going to be part of this. And Haas are not going to be part of this. There is no real comparison.
No.
There. You could argue Haas and Marussia in a way.
Because they were the team that...
They're both linked with Ferrari.
That's true, I never thought about it like that.
They are both linked with Ferrari.
They're not the same team, though.
But they're two different. So them three are not included.
Haas did replace Marussia. No, they didn't. There was one season where they were in the same... the same season, 2016.
Yeah.
But then, obviously, like you said, the Ferrari... because Marussia was always that Ferrari junior seat, really, wasn't it?
It kind of became...
And then Haas has now taken that spot of the... Ferrari puts their young drivers in that car. Or, well, they have done before in the past.
Yeah.
So it's kind of got that link. But apart from that, they're two completely different teams, completely different infrastructure, completely different locations. Obviously, Haas is American, Marussia is French. Was French.
But I do think we need an honourable mention before we get into it of Jules Bianchi.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Jules Bianchi, R.I.P.
Yeah. I'm like, honestly, I'm really sad we never got to see because I think at the moment we could have been looking at a Bianchi and Charles Leclerc pairing at Ferrari right now, right this
I
second.
think I don't know if Kimi would have stayed at Ferrari as well. It could have been a 7, Bianchi.
Do you reckon they would have put Bianchi in that seat?
I think so, because as we get into it, we see how shocking Kimi was in 2014.
Oh, he had a butters season.
He did.
He had a butters season. Luckily, in 2014, Ferrari didn't have anyone really waiting in the wings.
Apart from Bianchi.
And I think, obviously, if Bianchi didn't have his crash, there could have been a talk there, a conversation about
Bianchi
going in there.
Yeah.
Potentially.
But then we wouldn't have had all these Kimi moments.
No, that's right. I mean, Kimi then went once Ferrari did, because I mean, I think Alonso proved how great of a driver he was, or is. God, every podcast, and because he finished 6 places above Kimi, I'm pretty sure, and then Kimi just completely fell off the face of the earth in 2014. But then when Ferrari came back with Seb at the front of the team, Kimi did all right.
Kimi didn't do too bad. Well, he did all right. Again, though, he was battling the Red Bulls, not the Mercedes. Whereas Seb was battling the Mercedes.
Yeah, he was always a bit behind, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Took him till Austin 2018 to win a race.
But that's not why we all love Kimi.
No.
First of all, we all just love Kimi because he's the most energetic, talkative man on earth.
Yes. He loves being told what to do.
What guy?
Yeah. We love Kimi. We're all fans of Kimi. But yeah, anyway, so let's get into this. So we have to start with
Sauber.
Well, Caterham were 11th.
Sauber was 10th.
Which proves how bad they were, because we're doing 9 teams and we're talking about 10th place.
Yes,
so
we are. We're going off the 2014 grid order as well for teams.
Yeah.
So we're just comparing. So Sauber obviously were not last last year.
Yeah.
So it's 2014 order.
Sauber's driver lineup: Esteban Gutierrez, Adrian Sutil.
You know, I used to get really confused between Grosjean and Gutierrez.
Why? Similar names.
I think it just began with G, to be honest.
Yeah. Fez.
But they had no place for me, either of them.
It was Sutil. I think was. I don't know. Sutil's a weird driver because I rated him.
No.
But he was awful.
Yeah,
I don't know what was.
I didn't rate either of them.
Yeah, but he had a good spell. Do you remember?
Was Sutil still there? Oh no, Gutierrez was still there. 2015, wasn't
he? Yeah.
Was Sutil?
Can't remember. I don't think so.
Can't remember, because I remember Gutierrez being there because him and Alonso had that crash in Australia.
Yeah.
What I'm getting from this, Saubers are causing crashes.
Sauber.
And there was that. What was the one where was it Gutierrez went flipping over as well?
Yeah. Well, that was Maldonado's fault though.
What wasn't Maldonado's fault?
Maldonado caused most crashes.
Oh my god!
But Sauber didn't really do much that year, and I think that Sutil, I think, is a decent driver, but I think without a good car, I think he's not going to get you anywhere. It's like if Sutil reminds me a lot of Kevin Magnussen and Roman Grosjean, right? He does.
No. You can't. No.
What?
No, because you got to put some form of respect towards Grosjean's name.
No, but what I'm saying is, give Sutil a good car, so a top 5.
No.
He's getting your points.
No.
He is. He went through that spell in 2011, 12 and 13 with Force India, where he was getting alright points from time to time. Granted, De Resta was also there with him, which isn't great for your career if De Resta's beating you sometimes. But still, Gutierrez I don't think was ever good enough. I'd definitely take, in terms of this, the lineup that we have for Sauber now, I think I'd take over what they had then. I think
lineup now, Zhou and Bottas is miles ahead.
It's miles clear of Gutierrez and Sutil, I think.
God, yeah.
Well, I think you've got to compare it. So you've got the young driver Gutierrez and Zhou, and you've got the
Paul De Resta.
Yeah, Paul di Resta. Bottas and Joe was a great lineup.
It was.
I mean, it was. I mean, is.
It is
Well,
a
no,
great
no.
lineup.
Hold on a minute. I'm going back on myself here because I said I didn't rate it that much. I think in comparison to Sutil and Gutierrez, it's better.
Leaps
and bounds, yeah. Like in terms of the young driver, obviously you got Joe versus Gutierrez, and then obviously in the experienced driver you have Sutil versus Bottas, and I think Bottas beats Sutil. I think Joe beats Gutierrez, in my opinion.
Oh god, yeah, 100%.
I think some people do rate Gutierrez, but I don't.
I think that's quite an easy one to compare between them because you just know Joe and Bottas are just superior drivers.
Yeah, I think so.
That's quite an easy.
It's quite an easy one. In terms of where Sauber are at, you know what's really weird? They've kind of just been at the same place they've always been.
Yes.
Since 2014. They haven't really done anything else.
Yes.
They've kind of just stayed there. They're still where they were in 2014 in terms of performance. Still at the back of the grid. They had one good season, didn't they? Oh no, they had a few good seasons actually.
I mean, when Charles went in there, but was that just how good Charles was?
Could say the same with Kimi.
Yeah.
Kimi performed for the first year or so.
Yeah, but then when Bottas first went, his first load of races was great.
Then they fell off.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's weird. Sauber have kind of always just been there at the back. Do you remember when they had Felipe Nasr and...
Oh my god, Felipe Nasr.
Yeah, and all that.
Jesus Christ.
Bro, that was the time, wasn't it? But yeah, no, Sauber...
He's in that blue car.
Yeah, the blue Sauber.
Wow.
So 9th was Marussia.
9th was Marussia.
Yep.
Jules.
Yep, Rip Jules.
So 8th was Lotus.
Was it?
8th was Lotus. Which your comparison to that is
Fucking
Alpine.
Alpine. So obviously Lotus's lineup was Pastor Maldonado and Roman Grosjean.
Yes, and Alpine is Ocon and Gasly.
Once again, I gotta say, the lineup of 2024 is leaps and bounds above Grosjean and Maldonado.
Maldonado, I can see both drivers ahead. Grosjean, though, back in the day,
He fell off after 2013.
he did, but the Lotus fell off.
Yeah, it did.
Like, you can't argue with him on that. Grosjean, back in his day, was... If you give him a car, and there's factual evidence
Yeah.
that he was actually a decent driver.
So do you rate Grosjean back in his day over Gasly or Ocon?
Oh, no, I don't like Grosjean. I was just being devil's advocate.
So we're saying the
Just don't-
Alpine driver lineup now is better than it was back in 2014. I think
I
it
don't
is
know.
anyway.
It's difficult for me because it's the battle of the Frenches, isn't it?
Maldonado wasn't French.
No. We're discounting Maldonado. He doesn't. Don't need him. It's between. I view it as on his day, Grosjean is better than Ocon.
Okay. Right, that's fair enough, because on his day, Grosjean was good. I'm saying the modern driver lineup.
I think I'll have to go to the modern driver lineup, but Grosjean, is he better than Gasly? And I do love Gasly.
No.
I love Gasly.
I think Pierre Gasly is one of the most underrated drivers on the grid.
Yeah?
I don't think people rate him.
I'm happy you're saying that, because I rate him very high.
Yeah, I think people don't rate him. I think people maybe slightly overrated him before he went to Red Bull.
Let's go.
And then
Pierre.
when he went to Red Bull, everyone kind of just did a 180 on him.
I didn't overrate him.
What do you mean?
I never overrated him.
No, I think he was slightly overrated before he went to Red Bull. He went to Red Bull, everyone turned on him, and now he's in Alpine. No one really talks about him as much. But I think he's underrated. I think he's one of the best drivers on the grid. I think it's just you put him up against probably the best driver on the grid at the moment.
Nope.
You did. You put him up against Max Verstappen.
Yeah, and Lewis Hamilton's the best driver on the grid.
All right. But yeah, we'll go with the modern.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with the modern.
I'll go with modern, but I would like to
So 2 points.
I will commend Grosjean on this occasion. Still don't like the guy, but he's okay.
2 points for 2024 then so far.
It could be a whitewash. This.
It really could be.
No, it's definitely not.
No, it can't be.
No, it's not a whitewash.
You just thought about.
Yeah, I've just thought it's definitely not a whitewash.
We're gonna have some tasty debates. So, but in terms of that Alpine car, I think personally, they've made strides forward since 2014 in terms of.
Well, I mean, if you're comparing them to Lotus,
yes.
If they went backwards, I'd be worried.
Yeah.
Like, the only way you go backwards is becoming a 2017-18 Williams.
Yes. But I'd argue...
Or a Caterham.
I'd argue, though, they made strides forward through... Well, no, they dipped, didn't they, in 2015? But then overall, they've made strides forward till about, I want to say, 2019.
When they changed to Renault.
Yeah.
They've made
strides forward to, I want to say 2018-19, and now they've plateaued. And I think they've kind of been at the fringes of being one of the top teams ever since.
I miss the yellow.
I do miss the yellow, yeah.
I miss the yellow.
One thing that really annoys me, by the way, this is a side point. I don't like how this grid is not colourful anymore. Does that make sense?
The only team that is making it colourful is Alpine.
Yeah.
With its pink.
Every
blue.
team is trying to put black on their car to reduce the weight, which is fair enough.
That's fair enough. But there's only some teams that can actually do that. Mercedes
and Williams and McLaren being the three that I think possibly can get away with it.
I don't think Williams can get away with it. I think Williams is ingrained white or blue.
But they do the blue and the black, and I think that looks nice. Mercedes, obviously the black Mercedes, and the McLaren, obviously black and orange. But with Ferrari,
but that orange gives it a pop.
It does, yeah. But
I don't mind that from McLaren because it is a lot orange.
In terms of the grid, though, I think back to 2019 where you had the pink Racing Point.
Yeah.
You had the bright yellow Renault.
Yeah.
You obviously had the silver Arrow.
Didn't they have like the black testing livery? Renault.
They did. That was nice.
Beautiful.
It was, but still, bright yellow Renault.
Yeah.
You had the silver Arrow. Obviously, the bright red Ferrari.
Yeah.
Red Bull's livery is iconic. You had the.
It's boring though.
No, it's iconic.
It's boring.
You had the, and it just looked like a nice grid. There was just a bit of everything on there. You know what I mean? And so sad to see it go. But anyway, either way, yeah.
Move on.
Alpine's plateaued, I think. Kind of at the fringes of that being a top team and just not getting there. Who's next then?
STR Renault.
Oh, Scuderia Toro Rosso. Also known as...
AlphaTauri.
Also known as...
Visa Cash App.
Such a shit name. Fuck me. Who fucking did that, by the way? I'm still not over this. We discussed in this last podcast. Whoever you are, I'll find you. I'll find you. I don't care. Such a shitty... Red Bull, please hire me to be your marketing strategist. Okay? Because from the sounds of it, you look like you've hired someone from Ferrari to come up with that name. Right? And
Don't do Ferrari dirty like that.
Nah, I'm doing Ferrari dirty like that.
Nah, I like Visa Cash App.
Such a shit name.
It is a shit name. I'm not gonna mind as long as it's referred to Racing Bulls. Racing
Bulls, or I can't even call it RB because that's what people call Red Bull for sure.
V-Carb.
V-Carb. No, I'm not calling it V-Carb. I'm calling it Toro Rosso. I don't give a shit. I'm calling it Toro Rosso.
AlphaTauri.
Or AlphaTauri, yeah, one of the two.
Repping.
Yeah, he's got... I got Mercedes on today.
The fact that I hate Red Bull, but I like AlphaTauri.
AlphaTauri's an easy team to like, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've always got nice drivers. Yeah. Speaking of which, let's compare the driver lineups then. So obviously in 2014 it was...
Kvyat.
Danny Kvyat. Jean-Eric Vergne, I believe.
Was it? Are we 100% on that?
Yeah, Jean-Eric Vergne.
I'm fairly certain it was as well.
Jean-Eric.
I'm just going down to the bottom.
I remember Jean-Eric Verne in that Red Bull
Yes.
Driver Academy.
Yes, Jean-Eric Verne it was.
Jean-Eric Verne. And obviously, today is Daniel Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda.
Well, that's a clean whitewash, isn't it?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
However, do you want something interesting?
What?
After having a look, just double checking on
Yeah.
Jean-Eric. He finished almost 20 points clear of Kvyat that year.
Did he? Now, this is the thing, right? I rate Jean-Eric Verne because he moved to Formula E and did he win a championship? He did, didn't
Yes.
he? In Formula, or did he win a couple?
He might
I
have
don't
won
really
a couple, yeah.
follow Formula E. But
I don't follow Formula E, but I did take note. Was it a few years ago? It kept popping up. I did start seeing he was doing well.
I know he's won.
He was in
One
that.
at least.
He was in like a bronzy black car. What? I do know the name.
I've no idea.
You know, he was doing well.
But I know he's won a championship in Formula E before. So
Yeah.
he's not a bad driver by any means. It's just I think he probably didn't cut it for Formula One by the coming to the tail end of his career.
Now.
What?
Didn't Kvyat come into the Red Bull in 2015?
He did. He did. I don't know why though.
Now I've said that about Kvyat and Jean-Eric. I don't know why I'm putting like some form of French twist on this.
Jean-Eric.
Jean-Eric.
That's a very good accent actually. Very good French accent.
Really not.
That was very good.
No.
Jean-Eric. No, Jean-Eric. I don't know why. Why, if he finished 20 points ahead, why has he not been in the Red Bull?
Well, it wasn't exactly 20 points ahead.
No, possibly. Maybe it's because Kvyat did have a better season, but maybe he just had bad luck with his results. Maybe his overall,
Yeah,
maybe
so-
Kvyat's overall performance. 'Cause I can't exactly remember 10 years ago now.
So yeah, Kvyat 8 points
Yeah.
and Verne was 22 points.
Oh right.
So 14 points different.
Maybe Kvyat's performances were just better. I can't exactly remember, but either way, them two as drivers, Kvyat we all know. Torpedo. He's not a bad driver though, but I don't think he's a good driver for a midfield team. I think Kvyat.
He loved a good dive bomb.
Yeah.
I'm surprised now after re-looking at it.
Why?
Because that was Jean-Eric's last year as well.
Was it? Did he not continue?
Max and Science 2015.
Oh shoot! Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm as baffed as you.
I'm baffled as to what I'm going to have to read up on that at some point.
I
because
can't remember.
what has gone on there.
I cannot remember for the life of me.
If anyone knows, drop it in the comments.
Yeah, I cannot remember for the life of me why. But I
Do
think
the research for me.
I suppose it was probably because Kvyat had better performances, but probably just got unlucky with the points.
Yes.
Like he probably outqualified him like 18 to something, or how many races were there.
Maybe, but it's your points that matter.
Yep, it is your points that matter. That is true.
Because Kvyat got the same amount of points as Grosjean. So the only reason, really, that Toro Rosso were ahead of Lotus is Jean-Eric over Maldonado.
But also then it's like the same thing with 2019 Williams. Kubica got a point, but Russell was leaps and bounds above him in terms of performance. But obviously the season as a whole, it looks like Kubica did one over George.
Yeah.
So
Come on, Kubica.
But yeah, no. Comparing to today's driver lineup, Yuki and Daniel, it's a whitewash, isn't it?
Yeah, it's miles clear. Like, you could just have just Daniel against them two, and Daniel would still win.
Daniel's a class driver.
Daniel's top tier. Like, if he stayed in that Red Bull, and Max wasn't Max, Daniel would have been a championship winner by now.
100%, yeah.
He
would have.
Daniel's of the caliber that he is one that deserves a championship.
Yeah, he would have fought.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have been as close as Max in 2021, but I think he would have fought Hamilton, a decent amount throughout that season.
I think he would have, but yeah, you did see at the end of 2021,
Hammer time.
Hamilton fucked Max over.
He went, didn't he?
Like
Hamilton, he was on a different level.
Hamilton engaged another gear, and like you could tell after Brazil, Max was rattled.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have we seen Max at any other point in his year that stressed and that rattled?
It was the mistake at Saudi that I think you think, because that would have been pole for him.
It would have.
What he fucked it.
Again, even saying that, Max did get in front of Lewis during the race.
Yeah, he did.
And Lewis just kept hammering under pressure.
Yeah.
And then Qatar, Lewis, like, I just remember Qatar 2021. Max and Lewis are fucking gone.
Yeah, gone.
But then Lewis just kept Max at arm's length the whole time. Max just couldn't make any inroads. And I think that tail end of the year, Lewis.
We need to see that. Off topic again, but we need to see that again. Like, we need Max and Lewis to have a Mercedes and a Red Bull that are that close on pace again, because I want to see that.
We need the 8-time world champion against the 2-time world champion.
Okay. But either way, if you give Daniel that 2023 Red Bull, well, obviously you give anyone the 2023 Red Bull. Lewis, if you give Daniel the 2022 Red Bull and put him up against Charles, I still think Daniel wins.
I agree with that. And I think if you give him the 2023 Red Bull, at least Max would, like, we would have seen a less dominant Max, I reckon, as well.
That's a claim.
It wouldn't have been, what was it, 20 race wins, was it?
Yeah.
I think Max would have probably only had 14, 15.
You think so?
Yeah.
That's still impressive.
It's very impressive, but I think Daniel would have had a lot more wins and
that's fair enough.
Been a lot more competitive than Perez has been.
I can see that. But yeah, no, whitewash. This V-Carbs lineup now is better than what it was.
Yes, I agree. Right. Do we want 6th?
Who was 6th? Who was 6th?
I've just got a text message I've got a scam message.
A scam?
See, all listen to this if you start getting text. It says, "Hi, my mother's name and my name. I've left my mobile at home, so if you need me for anything, you'll need to contact me on this number. Work mobile. Cheers." See, now you would think that could be my dad.
It's not.
It's not my dad, because his phone is not at home. Because I know this. And it's not my sister, because she's in Hull. So, cheers, bro.
She's in Hull.
Yeah, she teaches in Hull.
Hull's such a...
It's a shithole.
Fucking... If you're from Hull, I'm so sorry.
I am not.
But you live in
I'm sorry that you live there.
Yeah, I'm sorry that you live there.
Yeah.
6th, Force India.
6th.
Decent.
And this was quite close, actually, between Force India, 5th and 4th.
So, Force India, who was their lineup? There was Nico Hülkenberg and Sergio Perez.
Correct. And Hülkenberg did end up being Perez that year, if I remember rightly.
Did he? Ooh, that's interesting.
I'll clarify that for you, but I'm fairly certain.
But Perez did bag a podium or two, though, didn't he? And Hülkenberg didn't.
Yeah, Hülkenberg 9th, Perez 10th.
How many points?
Hülkenberg 96, Perez 59.
Oh, that's almost double.
So it's a pretty whitewash, that, isn't it?
So Hülkenberg and Perez versus, and we rate Perez as well. Like,
I do not rate Perez.
I rate Perez in a Force India.
I rate Perez in a midfield car.
Yeah, well, we said this, didn't we?
Because he's a midfield driver.
So okay, so we're comparing them now against Alonso and Stroll. Who's better? Who are you putting?
Are we saying Alonso now or Alonso back in the day?
No, we're comparing them as a driver lineup.
As in, together right now. As a driver lineup, Hülkenberg and Perez.
I agree. I think this is the first 2014 win we've got here on our ends.
It is the first 2014 win. Not only due to the fact that I think Alonso's old and getting washed, but Stroll is that dog shit. I would rather have Max Chilton in there.
Oh, Max Chilton.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Like, Stroll is that bad that he just needs to get gone. And his dad.
You, as a parent, I think their pairing back in the day was better. Like, if they had Perez and Hülkenberg now in that Aston Martin, I still think them now today is a better pairing. But they were both back in their heyday as well.
Yeah.
So I think it is a better pairing. In terms of Aston Martin making...
I just want to throw this out there about Strolls as well. I'm not
What?
finished with him. He got rid of Perez.
Yeah, he did. And Hulkenberg.
And this guy, man.
Got rid of both of them.
And he's kept his son.
We could have had Hulkenberg and... Well, actually, no. Hulkenberg left for Renault, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we did lose for Renault.
That's fair enough.
Okay, I'll let him off.
We'll let him off for that one.
Still,
but
Perez.
We could have Perez and Vettel.
Perez and Vettel.
Or Perez and Alonso.
Perez and Alonso. Instead, we got Stroll.
Yeah.
Literally describes his driving style.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So, it's one of them, innit?
Yeah. Lovely stuff.
Lovely stuff.
We got a point there for 2014. What's
Yeah,
that?
2014.
3-1?
3-1 to 2024 at the moment. But no, let's talk. We haven't talked about Aston Martin as a team.
As a team.
Striving forward. I think they have. I think their days of Force India were very inconsistent. They were a midfield team, but they've slowly started to make progress from that point to where they become more...
Now, is that recency bias?
No, because they
No, is that recency bias? Because they've had one good year.
No, because they
Last
won...
year, they were... Like, 2022, they were dog.
No, but they won Perez won a race with them in 2020. And then they were consistently...
We did.
They were consistently third, fourth for a few years, and then now they're Aston Martin.
And they're still...
Oh, no,
fifth.
They did drop off with Seb. They had a bit of a blip year.
Yeah.
But then they came back and went back to the front.
Yeah, and by the end of the year, they became the fifth best
Yeah,
car.
but that was Stroll's fault.
Yeah,
Like we were saying, if you put Perez or... This is why Perez and Hulkenberg are back, because you put them in that car, Perez or Hulkenberg, and it would have been a different story.
Yeah.
They probably would have finished ahead of McLaren.
Anyone in that car but Stroll, man, it would have been a different story.
That's going to be picked up on the mic.
Oh, sorry.
It's alright. I'll let you off.
I'll lie.
But we're just going to have in the background. Yeah, no. So, who's next then? Who finished fifth? Was it McLaren?
Yes.
Or Ferrari?
It was McLaren.
McLaren.
It was McLaren Mercedes.
McLaren Mercedes finishing fifth.
It was, and it was Button and K-Mag.
Button and K-Mag, eh?
Yes.
Against who are we now? Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. It's a difficult one, you know, because you've got...
I think that's got to be our closest one out of them all.
So far, yeah. You've got a world champion
who was
Jenson
coming to
Button.
the end.
But still, I'd say in
He has got raw pace.
he was still in his... I think 2014 was the end of peak Button.
Yeah, he was finishing up then.
Yeah. And then Magnussen was starting out, but he had a good first season, Magnussen did.
Yes, he did. So it is kind of like quite... Magnussen then and Piastri now is quite comparative.
Yeah.
Because they were both rookie years.
That's fair.
And if I think I have to choose who had the better one, it's Piastri.
I'd agree.
And they're both fourth place. Well, one's fifth place, one's fourth place.
Yeah.
The cars were of the same sort of calibre.
It's really difficult, isn't it? Because I'd argue... I mean, obviously, recency bias also does come into it because when we think of Magnussen, we think of Magnussen now, and he had a very poor season.
But you have to think back to then.
But
as well.
Magnussen then...
We're doing 2014 K-Mag.
He was a decent driver.
Not this K-Mag.
Yeah. He wasn't... I think people underrate K-Mag back in the day. And then, obviously, Button as well. Button was a great driver.
I think Piastri nips K-Mag.
I'd agree, though,
I think looking at Piastri's level of driving last year, when he's first come into F1, put straight in that McLaren, and he did a really good job.
So then...
The debate is Button, who is a world champion and on his day unbeatable, or Lando Norris, who is on a trajectory, if you give him the right car, could be classed as one of the best drivers in the future.
I'm going to say Lando Norris. I'm going to give it to the 2024 boys.
And I would go as far as saying Lando Norris, given the machinery, like Max has been given the machinery, you could easily put him in a conversation with Max. It's being who's better.
That's fair.
I think Lando Norris has the ability to be better than Max Verstappen.
That's fair. I agree. Can be.
100%.
Don't think he is, but could.
I think come to the end of both their careers, you are looking at it as Hamilton, Schumacher. Obviously, you've got your Prosts and all them lot, but if you're just the two main goats,
Yeah.
and then you've got an argument who's above Lando or Max, I reckon, come the end.
You reckon?
And I would argue, I rate Lando that highly now that he just needs to do what he's doing and be given a car, and he'll win. He'll win it. He'll win.
I'm approaching this from a slightly different angle. That I think Button got lucky. He's a very, very, very good driver. I'm not saying he's not a good driver. Button, one of the best British drivers we've had in the sport, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Not one of the best drivers we've ever had, period, but one of the best British drivers, I think.
Yes.
But he got very lucky that he got a quick car. Because I think if he never got that Brawn in 2009, I think we'd be sat here having a conversation about, oh, he was a good midfield driver. He picked up points here and there, an odd podium.
He's a David Coulthard.
Yeah. Which is really sad to say because I love Button. But I think, personally, he got very lucky with that. So my thought process is if you give Lando Norris a 2009 Brawn, do you see the same thing? I'd say yes, you do. I'd say you put Lando Norris, the Lando Norris of now, in the 2009 Brawn with the 2009 circumstances and the 2009 season and competitors, Lando Norris absolutely wipes the floor with that championship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
it's Lando and Oscar.
Yeah, it's got to be Lando and Oscar.
It's got to be.
Purely because I'm taking Oscar over Magnussen.
I think on the face of it, if you put it right in front and didn't think about it and discuss it like we have, it's a tougher decision than what it actually is.
Yes.
I think it is a pretty easy decision. Now we've gone over it.
Well, maybe not, because people could also come back and say, well, Button's a world champion, proven, and Lando's not even won a race.
I know, but you people who know F1, so not you Drive to Survive shits. People who know and watch F1, which I'm hoping most of you lot do, will know the trajectory and the ability of Lando Norris.
It's the eye test, isn't it?
Like, if you watch this man, it's him, Max, Lewis, and possibly Charles. It's them four.
Yeah,
on the grid.
Lando passes the eye test.
Yeah.
He hasn't won a race or a championship, but he passes the eye test.
Yeah, literally, like, the ability that he has is insane. Like, you know it's good when, what was it? Lewis in Austria passed him, didn't he? He just comes on the radio mid-race. Such a great driver, Lando.
Yeah.
Like, if you're getting them compliments from
8-time
world champion,
oh.
Mr. Massey, I'm watching you.
To be fair.
Then you've got the ability to be one of the greatest drivers that the sport's ever seen. I
agree. So yeah, McLaren, we're going to go with 2024. So it's currently 4-1.
It is.
To 2024 pairings.
It is, and now I feel like it's going to get more spicy.
It is, but let's talk about McLaren's trajectory as a team first, though. Where are they from 2014?
They went so far down.
2014, I think, was their last decent year for McLaren before they...
McLaren went. And then...
Yeah. Well, no. They went like that. And then this is them at the start of the season. This is what they're doing now.
Yeah.
That's what they do. This is McLaren's season trajectory. This is every single season. Ferrari. The Scuderia.
And it was Kimi and Fernando, which on paper...
I mean, on paper.
On paper.
On paper.
That's tapped.
On paper, that's very good.
Against a Carlos and a Charles.
Okay, so we're also going to get stick for this because I think this is hard, but there is 3 championships in that Ferrari 2014.
There is.
There is 3 championships.
Oh yeah.
There's 0.
Who are you saying then?
I don't know.
Gut instinct right now. Who you saying?
Charles and Carlos.
That who you saying?
Oh no, I can't.
No, you've got to say
No,
right here, right now. Gut instinct. Someone's holding a gun to your head.
My gut.
Gut instinct. That's how you do life. You got to live by your gut.
As a pairing.
Who you choosing?
As a driver pairing.
Stop beating around the bush. Who you choosing?
Shit. That's so difficult.
Who you choosing?
I don't know.
Who you choosing?
My heart is telling me.
I don't care.
No,
Say now.
No, because
Say now. No, I'm not.
I'm gonna come to a decision. Don't worry. I'm gonna come to a decision.
Okay, go on.
But my heart is saying Charles and Carlos. But my head is saying Fernando and Kimi.
Is your arsehole hurting from sitting on that fence?
It is. I need shit actually.
Man up and say. I'll tell you.
Fuck it. I'm gonna be controversial. Charles and Carlos.
I'm the same.
Why?
Exactly the same.
Oh, I hate it though because
No.
I know. Yeah, but it's Alonso and Kimi.
I know, but we're going off 2014,
No.
which Fernando had a pretty good year for the car he had.
Phenomenal.
Kimi was washed. He finished 12th.
Yeah, I don't know why Ferrari. How did Ferrari not drop him after that season?
I don't know. Kimi finished 12th
Imagine, by the way,
in the
actually,
Ferrari.
imagine if they convinced Alonso to stay, and then they put Seb next to Alonso in 2015.
We could have had a Seb and Alonso.
Yeah.
Aston Martin as well.
Yeah, we could have.
The amount of times that we could have had Seb and Alonso. Oh my God.
I know, it's mad, isn't it? Ferrari ruined it, and then Stroll ruined it.
Do you know what would be amazing?
What?
Le Mans, they've got 3 drivers.
Yeah.
Imagine Fernando, Lewis, and Seb doing it all together.
Oh, that's like it's like the boys, isn't it?
That would be, well, Lewis and Fernando don't get on that.
No.
But Suis.
You know what would be the
I love a
Suis?
Suis. I love
You know what would
Suis.
be the boys though? The boys, Lando, Max, and
No, Max can piss off.
No, but they're really good friends with each other.
No, Max can piss off.
But
I just
anyway,
don't want to see Max.
Okay, so the reason I've gone with Charles and Carlos
Yeah,
is because I think I'm looking at this from a driver pairing standpoint.
I agree.
For some reason in my head,
Kimi and Fernando.
Kimi
don't
and
work.
Fernando just do not work.
They do not
I don't know why.
at all. I agree with that completely. I think Charles and Carlos, as a pair together, work better than Kimi and Fernando. I think Kimi and Fernando are 2 big egos, essentially.
Well, Kimi does not really go.
No, but
Big names.
big names. But
Why does Vettel and Kimi work though? Why did that work?
because Vettel's a nice guy, Fernando's a little whiny bitch.
All right. I'm not talking about them as personalities though.
No, but I think personality comes into it when you're a pair, and when you're working together. It does.
Oh, I think we're tampering on.
We're deep in it a bit more.
We're deep in it. We're deep in it on your. I think we're tatering on the edge of deeping it because of our likability of the drivers here,
Yes.
which I don't like, because I think we need to make this about the racing drivers, not the personalities.
No, but if you are going as a pair, personalities does come to an account.
I don't know.
Because in the way that you work together.
I think the way that Charles... Okay, actually, that's a good point. Okay, I think Charles and Carlos as a pair work together better. Because I think that Ferrari pairing just... I don't know, the car was nowhere. Kimi wasn't getting results in it.
Mm-hmm.
Fernando was running away, made Kimi look like a... It made Kimi look washed.
Made him look like Lance Stroll.
Yeah, it like... I don't know, there's just something wrong with that 2014 Ferrari pairing.
There
Something
was.
wrong with it.
Kimi and Fernando just didn't seem to work.
Doesn't go. Yeah, I don't know. I'd take the pairing now. I mean, I'd take Alonso over Charles and Carlos. I would. I'd take Alonso over Leclerc and Sainz.
I'd probably take Alonso over Sainz.
And I'd take Kimi. No, I wouldn't. I'd take no.
No.
Nah, unfortunately, I love Kimi, but no, I wouldn't.
You could argue Kimi above Carlos. But I think Carlos is very criminally underrated.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think Carlos one of the most underrated drivers on the grid.
But I think I do think I rate Charles quite high.
Oh, Charles is a deserving world champion in my books.
Deserving.
Yes.
Yeah, he's not done anything to deserve one. He's not been there yet. But
Future deserving.
He is a potential driver that can definitely win a championship.
Yeah. In terms of that, well, we have to think about the car, the trajectory for the car as well. Ferrari obviously have made strides forward since 2014.
They have.
Which,
although they did go through a blip though, didn't they? After
they did,
illegal engine problems.
They took a massive hit.
Well, they should do a legal car then.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. Red Bull, take note as well. Legal cars, please.
Yes, please.
2022, 2021. I see your fucking cost cap thing.
Cost cap. Yeah, but if we look at it from 2014 to 2024, Ferrari obviously have made strides forward since then.
Overall, yes.
Overall, Ferrari 2014 wasn't great. Pairing just didn't work for me.
They're still a team full of mistakes.
Yeah, team full of mistakes.
I think that's the way that you view Ferrari. They're this prestigious team, and everyone wants to drive for him. They're just full of mistakes after mistakes after mistakes.
It's like Man United, isn't it? It's an honour to play for the club, but
there's something internally going wrong.
Yeah.
And you need to sort it out.
Yeah. And it's like, I remember as well, it's just coming back to me as well. The way they handled Fernando that year as well, with the whole Fernando getting frustrated situation with the car.
Yeah.
It's... Obviously, Fernando went through a period where he just whined at everything, especially in McLaren.
He's such a whiny
baby. It was still, it was a massive thing in 2014 as well for Fernando with that car. I don't know, just Ferrari, I think they're so much better off nowadays than they were. But there's still something going wrong.
I think the way that we can judge it is they seem more stable nowadays.
Yeah. There seems like a clear path to success. They're trying to win with Charles and Carlos.
It's like you get stuck in the woods, right? And back then, they were stuck in the woods and they had to use nature to find their way. This time, they've been given a compass and a map and they've got a route.
Yeah.
They've got something to go off.
They've got a young driver.
Yeah, they've got something to develop.
Yeah.
They've got a route to success now. Whereas then, I feel like it was just one driver, route one, go for it. That's it. Like, there's nothing. Like, blind man.
Well, they went through a period where they just try and get the best driver in that car.
That was it. Yeah.
They went through, okay. So when
Publicity.
They went from, they had Raikkonen and Massa in 2009, and they were like, okay, who's the best driver we can get? Alonso.
Yeah.
Okay, we got Alonso. Alonso doesn't get what he wants. 2015 comes around, it's like Alonso's leaving from McLaren. Who's the best driver we can get? Seb. Okay, get Seb. And then that goes on. And then they slowly realised...
changed to a Charles.
When Charles went in there, they realised, right, okay, we need to build our car around this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excuse me.
It's an interesting one. So who's the point going to?
I'd say 2024. I don't think that lineup worked at all. As a lineup, you got to remember, you got to treat it as a lineup.
On paper, great.
It's disgusting.
On track, I'm going Charles and Carlos.
Because it would be unfair to not consider the performances of one, Kimi Raikkonen, and two, how bad that car was. Like, you can't just be like, oh, on paper it's great.
Yeah.
Kimi and Fernando at Ferrari sounds amazing, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with 2024.
I agree.
So who's next then?
What does that make then?
5-1 to 2024.
5-1. Jesus Christ.
I think though, to be fair, we do have a more competitive grid than we've ever really had. Looking at it comparatively, now that we've really discussed it and unpacked it.
5-1. Wow.
Who's next then? Who's third?
Williams.
Oh, well, that's fucking strange, isn't it?
And it's an easy decision. It's Massa and Bottas. Hands down.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Massa and Bottas.
Down.
Yeah. Bottas was quick. Massa was still pretty quick, despite coming to the end of his career. Yeah, no questions there.
You can't really discuss much about it. It's pretty open and shut case, that.
Yeah. And also, Williams were 10 times better than they are now.
Oh, yeah. Like, the Williams trajectory, again, it was just downhill, wasn't it?
They got worse every year.
They've had a slight increase now, but still at the bottom.
Their best year was 2016 in that kind of period. Not their best year, sorry. Their last good year was 2016, I'd say.
Yeah, and then you had the changes, didn't you, in 2017?
Yeah. Yeah, you did. And I thought it was funny because Massa was going to retire in 2016, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And then Bottas went to Mercedes.
Yeah.
And then Massa came back for one more year, didn't he?
And he's regretting that now.
I would have. So yeah, I think it's short case 2014 wins there. 5-2.
Easy.
Second, Red Bull.
Red Bull.
This gets interesting, doesn't it? So you
Max and Perez, or Vettel and Ricciardo?
Now.
I'm not going to sit on the fence. I'll tell you.
I'm going to tell you as well.
I'll tell you straight off the bat.
I'll tell you straight off.
Alright. We'll go 3, 2, 1. We'll both say it at the same time, yeah?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Vettel and Ricciardo.
Oh! Okay, go on. Go on.
Again, I feel like it's the same kind of argument as your Ferraris.
It's exactly the same argument, but I think it's more the other way around.
The other way around for you in terms of the fact that you have a clear number 1 and a clear number 2. Is that your thought process? That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
Vettel and Ricciardo, they weren't doing so well together in their first year together. However, I think if you gave it time...
No.
Yeah, because you saw Seb's ability in 2015 when he went to Ferrari.
Yes.
I think if you gave them time, them two could have blossomed very well.
Seb is the type of driver where he needs a solid number 2 behind him. Because when he doesn't, he gets flustered and frustrated very, very quickly.
Yeah, are you saying that when it was Max and Daniel 2017, 18 time, Max didn't have the solid number 2 in Daniel?
No, he didn't.
Yeah, but it was.
What do you mean?
Essentially, the way that Red Bull, I felt, looked at it, Max was still their number 1 back then.
Yeah, but it was hard to define because Ricciardo had been there for years and Max had only just come through.
Yeah, it was hard to define, but I feel like that situation of Max and Ricciardo together would have been the same as Seb and Ricciardo.
No, I think it's different. Because Max didn't get frustrated like Seb did. But he was hot-headed, but I think that was more to do with his age and he was coming through and he was still young and he was...
Maybe. I feel like we've been robbed of Seb, and that I think that could have been one of the best pairings that there could have been in F1.
I disagree heavily. Because I look at it the same as Ferrari. I think Seb and Daniel just didn't work as a pairing. On paper, it sounds amazing. On paper, it sounds great.
No, but did it in 2014 sound great? Because Daniel was fresh into the team after his year.
Yeah. Exciting, young...
Exactly.
Exciting, young, fast driver.
Exactly. Exciting, young, and your experience of Seb.
Yeah,
that should have worked.
It sounds amazing on paper. So I'm saying it sounds amazing.
And I think if Seb stayed, it would have blossomed very well.
I disagree, because the issue was Daniel was quicker. And he won 3 races. Daniel was quicker.
I think Seb
flustered Seb.
Seb had a massive off year that year.
But the thing is, he got frustrated, and you could tell he was frustrated with the car because it wasn't as quick, and then Daniel was beating him, and I think that really, really got to him.
But it is going to get to you if you've won 4 championships on the bounce, and then your team has served you up that.
Which is why, for me, comparatively, Max and Checo is better, because Checo is a number 2, Max is a number 1, and there's no competition there.
There is 0 competition there. But as a pair, if you're fighting for a championship, if you're Red Bull, I'm hands down choosing having Daniel and Seb over Max and Checo, because you know Vettel and Daniel are getting you consistent top 3s. Max is the only one.
Now that's where I will agree.
As a championship, if you want to win your constructors, you're having Seb and Daniel over Max and Checo any day of the week.
Now that's where I agree. And we'll talk a little bit more about this when we talk about Mercedes as well. I think this plays into it. But the whole idea of Max and Checo is, if any team... Yeah, Checo finished second in the championship, which he should have done, and he did.
Yeah.
But if Mercedes, McLaren, Ferrari were there fighting for the constructors, Checo is going to be the reason Red Bull don't win it that season, last year. Whereas I can see maybe Daniel and Seb being more consistently getting you top 3s. So I guess when you look at it like that, possibly. But
we're on about as a driver pair for a team. And
yeah.
Your team benefit, the team's benefit heavily is weighed in the favour of Vettel and Ricciardo compared to Max and Checo.
But we're not.
Yeah, but if you're in a competitive year...
No, but you're... Okay, hold on a minute. You're going off of what if. Wait, hold on a minute.
I'm going off of what if.
Yeah, so I could say, okay, well, what if that Ferrari car was competitive?
Yeah, you can go off what ifs, right?
So then, what if Kimi and Alonso worked because the car was good? What if Alonso won the championship and Kimi came 3rd or 4th?
Yeah, but I think the thing is, though, that year, Alonso was 6th, Kimi was 12th.
Yeah, because the car was shit.
Ricciardo 3rd, Vettel 5th.
Ricciardo beat and rattled Seb.
Ricciardo beat and rattled Seb.
Yeah.
But our aim is to find the best pairing for a team.
The idea is to find, is the 2014 pairing better or the 2024 pairing better?
For the team.
No, of the time.
Of the time. Yeah.
Have they improved?
Have they improved?
Is the pairing now better than it was then?
No.
I think it is.
No.
I think Max and Checo is better than Seb and Daniel, because I think...
No.
No, but my point is I don't think Daniel and Seb worked as a pairing.
I think they did.
But why? So you're saying, okay...
I've told you what.
You said Seb is a clear number 1.
I can see that they would probably clash.
Which
more.
they did. If they were fighting for a championship,
I can see
they
that.
would have taken points off each other.
And it is difficult because they were only teammates for 1 year. So with them two, it is more what if. However, you can also see the fact that them two together, you would rather have, because you are certain, provide them a car that's very competitive and in and around everyone. You've got a higher chance of winning that year than you do with Max and Checo. Much higher chance.
That's the only leeway I'm gonna agree with you on. I do agree with that.
I will agree with the fact that Max and Checo won't clash as much. I agree with that, and you've got a definitive. And in terms of if you have a biasy towards a driver and you want the drivers' championship, your driver pairing, if you want the drivers' championship, is Max and Checo, because you know Max is winning that. You're going to have more clashes with Ricciardo and Vettel for the drivers' championship. But as a constructor, you're Seb and Daniel is a better bet.
So this is I can get behind that thought process, but what actually happened in the 2014 season? What actually happened was Seb was meant to be the number one. Daniel was meant to be the up and coming number two. And we saw the same happen in Ferrari when Charles came in with Seb. So the exact same thing happened. And guess what? Daniel, like Charles, beat Seb.
But again.
And rattled Seb. I'd say Seb was less rattled in Ferrari.
There was a correlation to it in terms of Charles came in and that was the illegal car that year.
It was the illegal car.
And the car dropped off. Again, the car dropped off. Seb's been used to every time, the years before, having a car that can win a championship. And then there's a drop-off in car and a new young rookie who's used to a slower car comes in. I think we saw it with Lewis, maybe last year. George is used to driving a shit car, so any car that's better than a shit car, he'll do good in. Whereas Lewis has got to drop back from an insanely good car to a shit car. It's going to take him longer to get used to that.
Yeah, but surely if Hamilton, Vettel and all them are the GOATs, they can drive any car.
They can drive any car. And we did see on returns, and if we do remember rightly, Seb did beat Charles at Singapore.
Yeah,
that year.
Charles won 2 races, Seb won 1. And Charles beat him in the championship. So,
Charles's win in Italy is still, for me, very fragmented with the terms of pushing Hamilton off the track.
Yeah.
But
we'll move
on from that.
But no, okay, right. At the end of the day, I don't think we're ever going to agree on this.
We are not ever going to agree on this.
To compromise, I think here's what we do.
Call it 6-3.
Yeah. We call it 6-3. Wait a minute.
Because it's 5-2 right now.
Yeah, 5-2. 6-3. We'll call it 6-3, but we'll say, if you want to win the Constructors, Daniel and Seb. If you want to win the Drivers, Max and Checo.
Yeah.
That's the best lineups.
Yeah. You can separate it like that.
In terms of...
I've swayed you off a bit there.
No, because I do agree with that.
Opened your mind.
No, I do agree with it, because I'm sticking by what I said last week, where I said that if you want to win the Constructors' Championship, Checo's not your guy.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. So, on that point, I have to agree with you by proxy. Right? I've got, I can't go back on myself, because I do think, that is my thought process with Checo.
Yeah.
However, I just... The only reason I say Checo and Max is because I look back at what happened with Daniel and Seb, and I think Red Bull had the intention of there being a clear number 1 and 2, and it never worked out that way.
No, and it's...
So that's where I'm like, that driver pairing just didn't work. The same way we said the Alonso and Kimi didn't work. So,
it's a difficult one because they also only had 1 year.
Yeah. If they had more years, maybe we would have a different opinion, but...
And
they only had 1 year.
The Mercedes came in. The Red Bull was quite unreliable. I think, Seb was not used to that sort of car. It was unreliable for it. It was a mix-up to the previous 4 years that he'd had.
Yeah. And it's probably why Daniel was more calm.
Because he came through from a slower car into it was still a better car.
So he wasn't frustrated, yeah.
No.
But Seb was rattled though. Seb was very rattled.
I think he was frustrated because he knows the caliber of car that he had in the previous years. To get into that car, it was different to get used to.
And Daniel was quick.
Daniel's naturally quick. I think the same. I don't think you can compare Lewis and George in that way when George came to Mercedes 2022. Yet George beat Lewis overall. And again, you can say that George came from the shit car to a good, that Mercedes was better than the Williams, even though it was that dog shit. And Lewis went from a championship winning car to that dog shit. But you also know that the fact that Lewis was not in it for racing, he was in it to test the car. He was testing for half a year.
Well, I think you can't compare because
you can't compare them situations.
Lewis was never rattled by George.
Lewis don't get rattled by anyone.
Exactly. He wasn't ever. Well, he did in his early days, but that's his early days.
Lewis rattled Seb as well.
He did. Lewis has rattled everyone.
Rattled
Rosberg.
Max. Yeah, I say it. He rattled Max.
So let's move on to our big dogs then. 2014 Mercedes, Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton versus 2024 Mercedes. 10 years later, still Lewis Hamilton.
Is he the only one that's in this?
He's the only one that's.
So it's Lewis either way.
It's Lewis.
Longevity for you guys. This is why he is the GOAT.
So it's basically Lewis is still there, so it's just Rosberg versus Russell.
It is.
Lewis is still there, so it doesn't matter.
Rosberg's better than Russell.
No, actually, no. We could do Lewis versus Lewis, because are we saying is 2014 Lewis better or is 2024 Lewis better? And I got to give it to 2024 Lewis. He's a
2024 Lewis is better than 2014 Lewis. Like there's no
no
debate in this.
Yeah.
So
we can do Lewis versus Lewis. I think 2014.
Yeah, but either way, it's Lewis. At the end of the day, you write on paper who's better, Lewis or Lewis. It's Lewis. It's the same bloody name.
Yes, but would you, if you had to take one driver?
Yeah, but we've not done that. We've not done. This is why I said we haven't done. Is it a 2014 Fernando? Is it a past Fernando? What Fernando is it? If we're gonna do consistency. Is it that Lewis? We should have done that with it. That's the year, that's the driver, all the way through.
But did we do that though?
Not really. We
did kinda.
No, because we took kind of caliber of driver into account with Fernando, and the way that he was in the past.
We did say oh it was. We did kind of say oh yeah it was based off that.
We're getting into something that's not really needed right now because either way it's Lewis.
All right, let's just say, okay. I mean, yeah. Yeah, but okay? Right. Here's the way that you go about this.
Has Lewis developed?
Yeah, yes. you go. Okay, well, is Lewis 2024 Lewis better off with George Russell, or is the 2014 Lewis better off with Nico Rosberg? That's the question.
Well, I can tell you now, Lewis says George Russell because that relationship between Rosberg and Hamilton went.
Yes, and I'm saying controversially, the lineup now is better than it was, but by very thin margins. Only because I think the Lewis now works better with Russell than the. Yeah. I'd take Lewis and Bottas over Lewis and Nico.
I'd take Lewis and Bottas over Lewis and Nico and Lewis and George.
That's fair enough. That's a different discussion. But the only reason why I bring that up is because I want to put into comparison. I'm not picking Rosberg because he's quick. We're talking about driver pairings.
Rosberg's better than Russell.
Rosberg is better. Nico Rosberg, I think, is probably one of the most underrated F1 drivers in history, only because he went up against the greatest of all time.
He's another one I don't really like.
I know, I never really liked Rosberg either. But realistically, if anyone else was in that car, I mean, he beat Michael Schumacher for God's sake, even though he was old.
He's a good driver, Nico.
Nico's the only reason people don't rate him higher is because he would have been a 3-time world champion if Lewis wasn't
for Lewis.
Yeah, if he wasn't against the greatest of all time, he would be a 3-time world champion. Simple as that. Probably more because he probably wouldn't have retired.
Yeah. I think the way you look at it now as well, though, Mercedes have a more defined 1 and 2 than back then.
Yeah, I'd say it's more defined. I'd say the Bottas and Hamilton was more defined.
Oh, Bottas and Hamilton, it was more defined, yeah. And I think it's going to be even more defined, George and Lewis, at the end of this year.
Well, that's where we disagree.
Lewis is going to wipe the floor.
The only thing we disagree on is, I think the only reason I picked George and Lewis over Nico and Lewis is for one reason only. It's because that Mercedes isn't a championship winning car. And I mentioned this a few podcasts ago, or it might have been last week. But I think you give Lewis and George a championship winning car and they end up taking points off each other like Nico and Lewis did. But because we haven't seen that yet, I have to go with Lewis and George. But we saw it with Lewis and Nico. And we saw the way they fought. We saw the shithousery. We did.
Well, we saw the shithousery.
We
of
saw the
Lewis and
shithousery.
Nico, but I'm just saying
We
no.
haven't seen that with Lewis and George.
And we're never going to see that because
I think we will.
Lewis
we would.
will be miles ahead of George. George is not that good.
So this decision is by margins, but I have to go with Lewis and George only because Lewis and Nico just did not work.
I'm going
Two
with,
number ones.
I'm going with Lewis and George because Lewis and Nico didn't work at all, and it's proven.
Yeah, even though they were both
However,
amazing.
I am not going to concede to the fact that we're only saying it because we've not seen a good Mercedes and George battles Lewis. Because George will never be on a level of Lewis.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. George Russell and Lewis Hamilton is a ticking time bomb.
I'll say this now.
It's another Lewis and Nico.
I'm saying this now. If that Mercedes car stayed at the trajectory it was with the pace that it had when Lewis and Bottas, George would be in contention to be leaving Mercedes at the end of 2024.
No, I'm telling you this right now. Right, clip this as well. Remember this. Clip this right now. If this is on a clip, clip it. If that's on a clip, clip it. No, clip this. Could be a short, actually. In fact, I'm going to put a statement out right now. Clip this, right? If that Mercedes car is anywhere near the front this season, if that Mercedes car is anywhere near the front this season, Lewis Hamilton and George Russell will crash and they will take points off each other because they will get in each other's way and they'll be hyper competitive with one another. And here's something else for you. Even if they don't, I reckon at least once this season we will see an instance where Lewis Hamilton and George Russell come together. I think it will happen.
I think that's going to happen, but I think that's George going to be getting in the way when Lewis is lapping him.
That's so funny. Well, that's just it. I don't know.
Honestly, I think George is the most overrated driver on the grid.
All right. Okay, calm down.
No, he is.
No.
Yes, he is.
No.
And honestly, if you gave Lewis a car that he has had 2020, 2019, 2021, whatever, you gave him that car, George would be nowhere near, and we'll actually see how good George is.
Yeah, it's
in
not
a
like
fast car.
George beat Bottas in his first race. Well, he didn't technically. But
No, he didn't technically.
outperformed him. George outperformed Bottas
Over a season, if you put Bottas and George in, Bottas wins.
What? No.
Bottas wins.
Stop it.
Bottas wins over a season.
No.
Yes, he does.
Stop it.
Yes.
Stop it.
Stop what? Facts.
Oh. Anyway. Yeah, Lewis and George I'd say is better. Only because Nico and Lewis was shit out.
Yeah, Lewis and George is better.
Yeah. Shit house really Nico and Lewis was.
It was too toxic.
Like everyone would say, oh well, it didn't get toxic until 2015. It got toxic.
But it was getting toxic in 2014.
Monaco.
Yeah.
2014 was the first.
We were
major.
5-6 races in.
Nico on purpose goes off in the run-off zone, so Lewis couldn't beat him in qualifying in Monaco.
Mm-hmm.
Shithousery. That is pure shithousery.
Well, it didn't get toxic, wasn't it? Malaysia, like 2-3 races in, when they were on about engine modes in the podium. Wasn't that 2014?
I can't remember.
I think it was.
They battled in Bahrain.
They did.
That was a battle, but that was a good. That was a good race.
That was phenomenal from Lewis.
They were respectful of each other, which is fair enough. But then after that was like the.
Yeah, but then you only think about it. Obviously, they came together in Austria that time, which was Nico's fault.
Yeah. That
Obviously,
was 2015.
Yeah.
But we're talking about 14.
I know, but we're thinking about it over the period that they were together. They came together in Austria.
They did, yeah.
Belgium. Spain.
Yep.
Can you remember any more?
Can't remember anymore, but there are definitely instances where 2016 Abu Dhabi, Lewis trying to hold up Nico for the championship.
Yeah, but they
Monaco,
didn't come
2014.
together.
No, I'm talking about just shithousery that they did.
There
with
was
each other.
shithousery, yes.
2016 Abu Dhabi with Lewis holding up Nico. Nico going on the run-off in Monaco 2014 to stop Lewis getting pole. It's just shit like that.
There was shithousery in there.
Lewis throwing the cap at Nico in Austin and Nico throwing it back at him.
Yeah.
Bro, it's so funny.
We had shithousery.
There was pure shithousery between
We
them.
loved it.
It was good to watch, but as a driver pairing, they just didn't get on.
They did not get on.
Did not at all.
But yeah.
Yeah, it was hyper rivalry, that was. Arguably, I think probably Max and Lewis is tough as a rivalry. Probably closer in terms of performance, because I think Nico's maybe a tad bit more behind. But in terms of, like, fire, Nico and Lewis, there's nothing comparing to it. If you weren't an F1 fan back then and you've only just watched now, go back and watch Nico and Lewis. It was 10 to hooks every single race.
Like, if Drive to Survive was a thing, it would
be... Bro!
Honestly.
Drive to Survive in 2014.
It would have popped up. Like, if you love your drama, oh my God.
It was the only good thing about that turbo hybrid Mercedes era, wasn't it?
You just...
The drama.
You're just waiting for the drama.
Because the races were shit. So boring.
Yeah.
But the drama between Nico and Lewis was good.
Drama was crazy.
Yeah, no. Yeah, fun times, eh? Reflecting on the 2014 season. Who thought we'd do a podcast about the 2014 season?
Us, clearly. We've just done it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've just had an idea, actually, for a future podcast. You know what we could do? We could do a podcast about the best driver lineups for every team that's ever been. We have to come with our 10 current ones of the 10.
Yeah.
But it has to be an actual driver lineup. You can't just put two drivers together that have been in the team.
What do you mean? So it has to be a pair that has worked together before.
Yeah. So you can have multiple drivers on the grid at the same time. Like you can have Lewis in McLaren.
And they have to be in... Oh, so you can have Lewis in McLaren and at Mercedes.
Yeah. As long as it's the driver lineup that he was with.
Okay.
We could do that. There you go. New idea.
Okay.
Coming soon on the Undercut. But either way, yeah, I think that's pretty much it, isn't it? Like, bro. So what are we saying then?
So we're saying McLaren is Lewis and Heikki Kovalainen?
No, absolutely.
No? No?
No. Heikki's too bad. Sorry.
Okay.
So yeah, that's it for the thing. Any last thoughts? What was it? 7-3 to Mercedes?
To Mercedes.
To 2024. 7-3 to 2024.
Yes.
So overall, what have we found?
There's a development on the grid.
Yeah.
That's what we've found. We've discussed how shit some of the drivers are. And they are being carried by their teammates.
Yeah.
Alonso and Stroll.
Yes.
Max and Checo.
Yep.
Lewis and George.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
We're never going to agree on this.
No. We'll see. What happens? I was meant to ask you actually. What happens if George beats Lewis and wins the title? What are you going to do? You'd have to delete yourself from the internet.
Out of the realms of possibility.
Well, we'll see. I don't think that'll happen, by the way.
It is out of the realms.
I'm just posing the question
of possibility. If Mercedes have a dog shit car, the only way that George beats Lewis is because Lewis is testing the car.
What, even if it's a championship winning car?
There's no way. George is not a good driver. He's a mid-pack driver.
I'm sick of this George slander.
Are you?
Yes.
What shame.
Anyway, thanks for watching, and tune in next week for our discussion of the new cars and deliveries.
Yes, I'm excited.
I'm really excited.
I'm really excited. 5 cars. What have we got? Haas.
Yep.
Cash App.
Cash App.
Haas. Cash App. Alpine. Sauber and Williams.
Not bad, that.
They're the 5. It's the bottom 5.
It is, yeah. They're saving the best for last.
Bottom 5 next week. Week after, top 5.
Arguably, though, I think this is the more interesting one because I'm very curious as to what Cash App's car is going to look like.
Green and blue.
I'm really, really curious. I hope it doesn't look like an Alpine with a bit of green on it, though.
It's going to be green. It's got to have flashes of green.
Yeah, but I really hope it doesn't just look like Alpine with a bit of green on it. So if it does, I'm going to be sad.
Be interesting.
Do you reckon Alpine will go with the pink again for the start of the season?
I think so. I think they will. And I'm interested in Sauber.
Yeah, me too.
Because I don't know what they're going to go with. Obviously, the Alfa Romeo's gone.
That might be green because of steak.
Depends how you have your steak.
A bright green.
Well, if you have, it could be brown.
Don't be a bright.
Well done.
No, don't. If you have a bright green steak, there's something wrong.
True.
Something wrong with that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and yeah, we'll see you in a bit. Bye.